To demonstrate how we are going to create the legs, I have just got a small little box here. This is not exactly how our table looks like because this has an edge here, but just forget it for a while. So we have this top something like this. Now as you know, if this is the top, we need the legs coming from these surface or the face, but we also need those faces which will come right from this point, and we do not have any face which can be extruded. We know that we can extrude a face out and then create a leg. However, the problem right now in front of us is that we do not have a face there to extrude it. Well, the solution for that is adding some loop cuts. Now again, to demonstrate how a loop cut works, I have just got some rubber bands here. So if I put a rubber band here which is denoting a loop cut, then you will have something like this. Now I have two faces here, but this is not good enough for me to make a leg. So what I need to do is, I will put another loop cut on the same side and give it the desired thickness between the two. So something like this, where we will have the thickness of the leg, but to get the square we need on two loop cuts on this direction also. So I will put some more rubber bands now, and we can see that we have two loop cuts added to this, and it can become a square. The intersection of these two loop cuts will give us the square here. Similarly, if we add more rubber bands on other sides, we will get squares in all the directions where we want them to be. For example, I added two more, and now we have two faces here which are created. Now this face is useful for us to create the legs. So when we are doing it, remember that loop cut will cut through the entire model. So as you can see, this box has the cut going through it. So the faces are not only created on the top, but they are also created at the bottom. When selecting, we have to only extrude the bottom faces and not the top faces, because the legs are at the bottom. This is important, and we will show you how in Blender we can make use of the available sources so that we can only touch this face and not this face. So let us just go back to Blender to see how we can do it. We are back in Blender, and we have this top in front of us which was scaled to the perfection what we wanted. Now we have to add loop cuts. Remember, till this time we were able to work in the object mode because we are just scaling the object. Now we have to modify the object, therefore we have to switch to edit mode. You know the shortcut, it is tab. The moment we press tab, you see that the object is now in edit mode. We have to add the loop cuts now, and you saw why you need those loop cuts and where you need those loop cuts. Remember to observe the grid line at the background carefully so that you can place it at a proper distance and make it very symmetrical. So let us just add loop cuts. First of all, deselect everything so that you do not have a chaotic situation. Okay. So now that it is deselected, we need 4 loop cuts on the horizontal side and 4 on the vertical side. That will create the entire grid what we wanted for creating those 4 faces. So let us just start with the first loop cut. Nitin is adding it on the top side by pressing Ctrl R, and when he left clicks, the loop cut is confirmed. He is adding the another loop cut right now where it is just below the first loop cut for the size of the square we are trying to put in. Now he will add it for the bottom area, the third one and also the fourth one. Remember, you have to hover your mouse on the edge where you want the loop cut to be inserted. So observe when Nitin is doing it. Now he is trying to do it for the vertical things, and for vertical he hovers on the top edge because the cut will be always perpendicular to it. Once he goes there, you see this orange line emerging, he will insert the loop cut at that position. After he is done with the position, he will left click and confirm the position of that. Again press Ctrl R, new loop cut will come in, he is putting on the left hand side now, left click, confirm it, click Ctrl R, add one more loop cut, and finally the last one, which becomes pink first, and then when we put it to the proper position it becomes yellow. After left clicking it is confirmed that the loop cut has been inserted. Now all 8 loop cuts have been inserted and we have got those 4 faces which we need. Let us just try to pan around the object to see how these loop cuts are added. We have a perfect condition right now to create the legs. Now the point is that how are we going to extrude it and how will we select those. For that we need to only select the faces at the bottom and not at the top. We have told you how to go to the top and the shortcut on the keyboard is 7. Here is one more shortcut which we are adding. If you press Ctrl and 7, then you get to the bottom view of the object. Here is an important tip. For the numpad shortcuts for different views, if you remember, 1 is for the front, 3 is for the right and 7 is for the top. If you add control to the same shortcuts, you will get the exact flipped side view of that. For example, 7 is the top, but control 7 will give you bottom. Similarly, 1 is for the front, but control 1 will give you the back, and 3 is for the right side view and control 3 will give you the left side view. So these are the standard shortcuts which are used. So let us now use the bottom view because we want the faces on the bottom to be selected. When we are here, we need to select some faces. Remember, if you start selecting the vertices, which are the points, by pressing shift and clicking, right clicking on the vertices, you can see that after a point entire region gets selected. We do not want a very modern table with a big block in the center. This is not what we wanted. What we want are 4 individual legs. So selecting the vertices is a bad idea. Similarly, if we select edges, probably it will have hollow pipes there. Even that is a bad idea. So we want the faces to be selected. Now how to select the faces? Just deselect everything, and by using Control Tab you can define what you want to select. We select face, you get these black dots on each face. Now if you click these 4 faces and add shift to your right click, you can select all 4 faces. Remember, we are in the bottom view right now. When we have to extrude it, we have to see what is the size of the legs for that. Therefore, let us switch to the front view so that we can see the legs coming out. Now with the faces selected at the bottom, we just need to press the extrude option, that is E. Once we press E and we move the mouse, you can see the legs are coming out of the table and additional geometry being created. That is what we have been talking about. We are, I think, happy with Japanese type of a table which is low on height, and we left click there. The moment we left click, the extrude option is accepted by Blender and we get this model. Let us just view it from various angles by moving the mouse and panning it around, and I think we have done a reasonably good job. We can press tab and come out of the edit mode to see how the object looks in the object mode now. We can also press 5 to see how does it look in perspective, so that we can get more realistic view of the table. The table is done, and now in the next session we will tell you how to apply laminate to it and make it more realistic so that it looks like a wooden table. So keep watching for the next session, which will be on materials and textures. Thank you.